Hi, chat. Good evening. Hello. Welcome to the show. And yeah, we did a little rearranging in the studio. We're still working on it, but we are getting there. Oh, I need to fix some stuff. So I apologize for the mess, but we are working on the studio. And there we go. So there we go. Had to fix it up a little bit. We are changing it up. I told you guys we were going to change it and rearrange it. Clyde's like, it still looks like shit, fat man. Fat man, it still looks awful. The only thing cringier is your actual program. I know, buddy. I know. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You're such a good boy. I know. I took you away from 2.0. He's ready to do his piano lesson again. Do 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 do. That's how he plays the piano. All right, guys. Clyde, can I set you down, Butter Bear? Butter Bear, huh? Yeah, he's like, just let me go. Just let me go. Yes, Clyde does probably ask himself that. He's like, wait, we live like this? I was treated better. I live better at the pound. Oh. Anyways, hello guys. Welcome to the show. I am Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And I gotta turn this down just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, gotta get myself into the... I gotta be the center of attention! Manny B says, what are you talking about? Oh, what happened today? Oh, you guys have already seen that? Well, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. So, let's see here. So we are going to get started tonight, and we are going to get into the Trump Ninth Circuit ruling that just came out about the Oregon National Guard deployment. And there's some other things here that are going on. Now, is this an ultimate victory? Is it a total district court death? No. But it's getting there. Now, they grant the stay on this, and it's very important. But ultimately, we still have to get to the case. They point out some things, though. And I just closed out the window, chat. I got to bring it back open. But we do have some updates on some stuff that is going to happen in this case, and we're going to get to those because there have been some interesting updates. There have been one of the other big things is that there is an issue about en banc happening, and we're not sure yet what's going to happen there. But what I can tell you is that there are some oral arguments that are going to be had in this case. So, as you understand, this case is already moving along fast. Maddie says that was a railroad job. I mean, you have a warrant, you get arrested. Nothing I can do about fixing that. I can't undo those. No attorney can. Once one's there, that's it. So. Why is the Discord is like beeping all crazy all of a sudden? Insert name here says, when are you going to do another Epstein case review? I plan on maybe if I have some time this weekend. I don't know. I may have some work stuff I have to take care of this weekend, so we may not. I may be occupied with work. I might have a big deadline coming up. To help, I might be helping an attorney out with some other stuff, so I might be indisposed this weekend. If not, this weekend would be the goal. So, real quick here, Mikey with 10 subs tonight. Let's fucking go, chat. Let's go. That's definitely worth an awoo. Yeah, we're 2 weeks to Halloween. But Mikey, thank you for support your generosity. I'm busy helping Aaron bust out of prison. He's gonna be almost time for like. How does that work? He's almost like. Isn't he gonna be? Isn't he almost out at this point? I think he is. So why would he bother? Why would he bother? I just it doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. So there's no point in him trying to get out of this or like left to work on, I don't think at this point. So now where is hold on here, guys. I just lost it. I literally had it open and I couldn't find it anymore. Because I'm a big old tart. I'm a big old tart, and that's what we're doing here. So we are going to get to this. Talk is cheap, and we are burning daylight right now. And actually, it's dark outside already, so it's not that. And I got to turn down the brightness here. It's too bright. It's too bright, chat. I can't handle the brightness. It's too white for me. All right. So as you guys were aware, the deal with the Oregon National Guard is that President Trump was trying to send them in to... Yes, I'm directionless. It's still light in Vegas, yes. President Trump was trying to have the National Guard assist the defense and protection of federal facilities. We saw that happening in LA when the ICE building in LA was being besieged. And now in Portland, we see it at the Portland ICE facility, which, if you guys have seen, it's been a hot point of contention for years at this point. If you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys have seen it before. And this is, you go watch it right now on, tonight you could go watch it. Like, that's how like real this is right now. And if you guys haven't seen it, it is currently the ICE facility over here. And right now, it does not look like this, but this is what it's supposed to look like. When you see it now, you're like, 555 Southwest Bancroft Street in Oregon. And this is the ICE facility. You're like, oh, that looks nice. That looks cute. And if you guys were wondering, there is a subway something or tram. I don't know what that is. Whatever they call it in Oregon. But anyways, this is the facility. And actually, it's looks like 4310 Bancroft. But this is the ICE building. This is, ICE and all the fun stuff there. But now, it does not look like that. It does not look like that at all. If you guys have not seen what it looks like, it's a lot worse looking. It's a lot worse looking. It's had a rougher day. And this is a very good picture of it here. This is a great picture of it. This is what it looks like right now. It's a plywood palace. Just like the federal courthouse in Oregon looked like at one point. This is gone. This was initially in 2020. And then since then, it's been attacked. Downtown is all boarded up. That wouldn't surprise me. That happened in 2020. But this is a plywood palace now. Think about that, guys. This entire fucking building, went from meow, and it used to look like meow. You're like, wow, that's depressing. Yes, it is. It is depressing. And also, if you guys are wondering, this is this little sniper perch where the ICE agents stand every night. And you're like, based. You just hope one of them doesn't accidentally walk over here and go, and fall through. That would be really awkward. But that is what it looks like. This is where they're at now. But yes, here's their little sniper perch. And yes, they've had to board it up. Why? Because it's been attacked. The windows have been smashed. And all different things have been going on and going on and going on. As part of it, Kia Path says, I understand it's due to utility, but I always wonder why they use plywood on buildings. The shit burns easily. Yeah, it does, but if it gets to the point of burning it, you've got bigger problems. And if they start trying to light things on fire like real arson, deadly force is authorized. Arson is an inherently violent offense. Brad says the flagpole's gone. Good call. Correct. But it's cheap, it's repairable, and it's durable enough. Because remember, if they can't throw rocks and smash the windows, they aren't worried about it. Ireland's having a boogaloo? Good for them. I hope they win and push all the fucking Ethiopians and Somalis out. Make Ireland for the Irish. Aries says, am I going to address... No. I mean, what more is there to say? Like... I don't know. I mean, like, there's nothing else there. There's nothing else. Nothing else to say. Cheap. I haven't bought plywood lately. Like, well, when you're the government, everything's cheap. But for other options they could do, it's the cheapest alternative. Because what are they going to do? Brick it up? I mean, that would take forever. That'd be very expensive. It's also not temporary. There is no other temporary structure that can be disassembled. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. And then fake Dr. Larry said, I had 7 depositions over the last 2 weeks. Oh. Ew. That's a lot. Hopefully they're all for the same case. I'm excited to relax for a night. Cheers, Sean. Well, thank you. Thank you. You have fun with all those depositions. You have fun with those depositions. So. All right, now, as we move on from here, Trump wanted to use the Oregon National Guard to help supplement these guys in blue. You see them, they say DHS police, but there's also guys from the FPS, the Federal Protective Service. And the Federal Protective Service are the people in charge with guarding and protecting federal buildings. They wear a similar blue uniform. They are not the ICE agents going out and making arrests. They're not the Border Patrol guys. They're not the BORTAC guys, the tactical teams. Their job is solely to guard the buildings. The problem is there's only so many of them. And the DHS has had to admit they've had to pull in extra people from all over the country. They only have so many to start with. And that's one of the things where, if you didn't realize it, there aren't that many government agents out there. If, it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, if everybody realized how many of us there actually are versus them, we'd fucking overrun them and swamp them. We outnumber them a gajillion to 1. But we don't. So what do? The FPS and the DHS, they can use a small amount of people at every building around the country, and that's good enough. They've surged them to Oregon to protect the building. They also surged them down to LA to protect the building. They've also surged them out to Chicago. And it's stressing the system. The guys are getting tired. They're getting fatigued. They're running out of people wanting to volunteer. There's, issues with you have to feed and take care of these people. Guess who's also trained in riot control? The National Guard. The National Guard in every state has a unit or two of basically like a heavily reinforced company size element at the very least that is immediately available to address riot control concerns. So Trump sent them down, he called it the California Guard, sent them to LA. He also sent some Marines in. And that's the other thing Trump could do here. As this is federal property, he could send in federal troops. He could send in Delta Force. He could send in the 1st Armored Division. It's Oregon, so he could send in, I think it's the 3rd Ranger Battalion up at Fort Lewis. He could send in whoever he wants to come reinforce the facility, and they would be allowed to operate on ICE's property because it's federal property. The government could do as it wishes on its own property. But he doesn't do that because that defeats the idea of using the National Guard. It also makes him look like interdimensional triple Hitler. It would look awful. Instead, use the local National Guard and then try to cuck these local governors, which it's what he's having to do. Now, he mobilized the Oregon National Guard and he said, hey, Governor, can you send your National Guard in to help me? And the governor of Oregon, as she has the right to do, said no. I refuse to bring them in. And remember, there are two different parts of the, hold on here, guys. There are two types of guard orders or military orders. Remember, the National Guard is part of the military. When looking at these, and I'm going to scroll down to the end because I think there's a blank page we can work on here. There's two types of orders for for military units. And if you guys have ever been in the Guard or active military, you know people who have. You may have heard them use terms such as Title 10 or Title 32. And those refer to sections of the United States Code which govern their use. So Title 32 is when the National Guard is operating under state control. Title 10 is when they're under federal control. And that, for example, I mean, if you're under Title 10, you're also in just the regular military. You're under, you're under other military orders. So, and if you guys have never seen it before, this is Title 10 of the U.S. Code, and it covers everything here. It's general military laws like the UCMJ, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, Air Force, Space Force, reserve components. The reservists fall under Title 10. They're not under the state governor control. So Title 10 covers all of this. But if you want to go into it further, you go to Subpart E. Subtitle E is, how do you do organization, administration, all these different things here. So you could start digging into how things go. And from here, it talks about the Army and Air National Guards, the National Guard and Federal Service. And remember, Title 10, so the National Guard, we talked about this before, the National Guard has been used heavily throughout its history. The militias are not the National Guard, but the U.S., the Revolutionary War was fought with a lot of militia units. The War of 1812 relied on some. The Civil War relied on tons of militias. Different militia units were raised, such as like the Ohio Volunteer Militia. You'd hear a bunch of different various units are raised that were fighting and raised by the states. To World War I, the Army National Guard had been deployed to Europe as part of the Rainbow Division. World War II, they fought in World War II. In Korea, they fought. I've told the story before about my grandfather and his uncle, and my uncle, my great uncle. They had a game plan of like, well, if we enlist in the New York National Guard, we can't get sent to Korea. Sounds like a good idea. Well, there's a bit of a problem. The National Guard got sent to Korea, and that New York Guard unit did. And only part of the unit got mobilized. And guess what? My great uncle's company got sent to Korea, and my grandfather didn't. And my great uncle killed a lot of fucking Chinamen. But it all works out. It all happens. It all happens that way. The only time the National Guard never got deployed was to Vietnam. And that's because it would have been a really bad thing. Reserve and National Guard units did get deployed to Europe at various times during the Cold War, but nobody went to Vietnam. And then obviously, Desert Storm, the National Guard was heavily used. The Global War on Terror, heavily used in Iraqi freedom, and then Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. And then, we've talked about it before, as part of our NATO training with our various allies, there are National Guard units that work all over NATO and NATO partners, and they have kind of like sister countries. And they do it, it's called the State Partnership Program. It's called the SPP, and I don't know, hold on here, there's like a chart that lays this all out. And it's kind of interesting. And it allows, groups to forge really good relationships with the various things here. And you can go to, for example, the National Guard.mil, and they'll talk about, like, in Ohio, for example, the Ohio National Guard, we have relations with the Hungarian military and the Serbian military. The Florida National Guard, they go all over the fucking Caribbean and the Guyana and Venezuela. Well, not really anymore because it's a dormant relationship. Obviously, we're not friends with Venezuela right now, but you could go to, the Georgia guys. Obviously, they're working with the country of Georgia. And then Argentina. And then you have like Alaska, works with the guys in Mongolia. And that one kind of works. They get off the plane in Mongolia. They're like, cousin! And they're like, hello! You know, the great state of California, they go to Nigeria and they go to Ukraine. Texas, they go to Chile, the Czech Republic, the Egypt, and UAE. It's an entire setup for deploying things. So it's like a sister city, basically. It's like a sister city. But it's something the National Guard has been heavily used. This isn't a new thing. And what happens when they go get sent on these deployments? They're federalized. Title 10 is invoked. So now we get to, what did Trump do? Well, he uses the National Guard and Federal Service to call them up. Now, what are the options? Well, there's 3 situations he can do it. Is it invasion by a foreign nation, rebellion, or the president's unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States? Now, we saw in the 7th Circuit said the regular forces mean something you can't accomplish with the regular army, which is really kind of weird. That the idea in the 7th Circuit, and we talked about this, it doesn't make much sense. If I can't accomplish a task with the regular United States military, how does using the National Guard gonna fix it? Because if the U.S. Army can't fix the problem, how is a bunch of guys that live in the next town over gonna fix the problem? Like, if the entire U.S. Army, like the 75th Ranger Regiment, and like a regimental combat team, and a striker brigade combat team, and an armored cavalry regiment, and an air assault division can't fix the problem, calling up like the 333rd Quartermaster Battalion for the Kentucky National Guard, I don't think is going to quite fix the problem. I don't. But the 7th Circuit has made that decision. But here's where it gets interesting. In California in the Trump v. Newsom case we saw, they said number 3 is acceptable. And number 3 is you just can't get it to work. You know, you're using regular federal law enforcement. Cool. Good enough for government work. And remember, Newsom sought a injunction and the federal government and the Ninth Circuit stayed that. Now, Trump went to Oregon and tried that. And he said, okay, fine. If you won't give me your National Guard, I'm going to federalize them. He tried. They got an injunction against Trump. Then Trump said, fine, I won't use this National Guard. I'll use California's National Guard because I already got permission to use them. He tried to deploy them up to Oregon, and he got blocked. Once again, by the same judge because Gavin Newsom joined the lawsuit in Oregon. And at that point, the judge said no National Guard at all. So Trump did, once again, Trump defying orders by seeking an appeal. And he sought an appeal of this order up to the Ninth Circuit. And we heard those arguments. Guys, remember, we went over those oral arguments. Who was looking good on those oral arguments? Who was looking good on those arguments? Remember, we did that. The Kentucky National Guard is the most dangerous fighting force on God's green earth. I'm pretty sure, like, the entire 75th Ranger Regiment would beg to differ. But it's just my point of capabilities of these units out there. Like, would I want to use Delta Force for riot control? No. But would I use a bunch of active duty military policemen for it? Yeah. Would I go to Fort Leonard Wood and grab every MP, Master at Arms, security forces guy that's being trained there and drag him down to Portland? And would they be good at riot control? Oh, they'll be fucking phenomenal at it. They're trained on that. Military police are trained on that. So the idea is if the, active duty military police command can't get it done, who the fuck is going to fix it? So not to knock the Kentucky National Guard. I'm sure they're pretty good. Dagamore says the second battalion says the 1st battalion of the 75th are full on bitches. I don't know. I'm not a ranger, never been a ranger. I think any of those guys are cool. They all do cool stuff. So So as we got through all of that, we went through and we listened to the oral arguments. We said, wow, Oregon sounds like they're going to fucking lose. And guess what? They lost. And it's interesting logic to see here. And it's interesting. Like I said, we're going to go over what happened. But let's start at the top. Let's start at the top, chat. And oh my God, it is still too bright. I got to turn it down, guys. I'm getting old. It's hurting my eyes. I can't see. I Helen Kellered myself. Okay, real quick here. Oh, we got some super chat here. Debbie O for $5 says, my reservist stepfather was activated for Desert Storm. Happens all the time. Yep. Interesting says, isn't the argument they're more trained in crowd control? They would be, but I would argue that military police are, trained in that and, act like all the ones at Fort Leonard Wood right now getting trained, there's a shitload of them. That's where all the military police go for all the branches, so. I spilled my drink. Damn it to hell. I didn't really spill it, but yeah, it's a mess here. Give me 1 second. Spilling a drink. Gotta mop up the mess as I spill my drink. Spilling my drink. We're not licking the bottle. No, we're not licking the bottle, even though we spilled our drink. Spilled our drink. Yes, we spilled our drink. Oh my God, that's just a mess and a half. Jeez, I just tilted it just a little bit. Like Darkseid, I didn't do anything wrong. I just tilted it a little bit. How was I supposed to know it was going to spill? How was I supposed to know gravity was going? These gravity mechanics are bugged. So, this is good enough for now. I just don't want to put my hands in it. That's what she said. So. All right, Chad, I think we're all set here in a second. There we go. All right. Okay, chat, we're all set now. Sorry for the delay. Jasper the cat. Well, don't worry, Jasper. You can come. We'll give you asylum here, Jasper. That'll be great when Phil loses Jasper and I give him asylum here. Send in the 69th Clyde Special Forces Unit. Yeah, it would be great. They would all quit because they'd be like, "Oh, he's so cute." I mean, I'm sure he would because that's Clyde's special skill is just being a cute boy. And then Erica Thorpe has gifted us 10 subs. Thank you for that. Let's get this going now, guys. Here we go. We're getting over first. Now, as we get into the actual part of this. Oh, hold on here. They say this is how Sean acts after sex. Well, I don't kiss and tell, so I don't know why you felt like it was necessary to tell. Were those select size paper towels? No, it's just the perforated ones where it's all a bunch of little sheets. My new background makes me look like a cat lady. Well, yeah. Was it a purple drink? No, I'd be sad if it was a purple drink. I'd be really sad if I spilled purple drink everywhere. I mean, that would be a crime against humanity. That'd be fun, though, one night. Can you get in trouble for drinking that on YouTube? That'd be fun one night. Just fucking start robo-tripping. No, don't do that, guys, because you don't want to, you don't want to get addicted to it, because it's a mild form of heroin. So, all right. Aries Athena says, how is Clyde? Clyde's very good. We just had him on. He's a very good boy. He's doing all right. He's hanging out with 2.0 tonight, though. He gets all scary when the storms happen. All right, but anyways, let's get to this case here. For publication, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals And guess what? It came out yesterday. We just didn't have time to get to it. But we are now. Ew. Whoops. Whoops. There we go, chat. October 20th, 2025. And so what do you have? The state of Oregon and the city of Portland versus Donald Trump. And obviously Pete Hegseth, because he's Secretary of Defense. Kristi Noem is her capacity as DHS Secretary. Now, it was before Judge Graber, Judge Nelson, and Judge Bade. There was a concurrence by Judge Nelson and a dissent by Judge Graber. But anyways, it tells you right here, per curiam, what happened here. So, the defendants, meaning Trump, they seek an emergency stay of the district court's TRO, which prevented the president from federalizing about 200 members of the Oregon National Guard for 60 days to protect federal personnel and property at the Lindquist building. And it says, after considering the record at the stage, we concluded it is likely the president lawfully exercises authority under 10 U.S.C. 12406-3. Remember, that's the ability when he's unable to carry out with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. They point out the evidence the president relied on is a colorable assessment of the facts and law within a range of honest judgment, citing Newsom v. Trump. Yes, that case that just came out in 9th Circuit 2025. They say we conclude that Trump is likely to succeed on the merits of his appeal, and the other factors stay factors weigh in their favor. Now, we're not going to address this issue about appellate jurisdiction because these courts have recognized we do now, especially the way these district courts are playing games with their injunctions and the nonsense they do at this point. We're done doing this bullshit. We're done with this. We're done with this. So they talk about the All Writs Act here, and they go through, and, we've seen all these cases before. And they point out that TROs should be treated as preliminary injunctions because they have the same practical effect. And they point out in similar circumstances, and that doesn't mean them specifically, but the 9th Circuit as a court, recently held Newsom that a TRO enjoining the president had the practical effect of a preliminary injunction. And they say they further explain when determining whether TRO should be construed as an appealable preliminary injunction. They determined was an adversary hearing held and was the court's basis strongly challenged. Now remember, there are times where you, generally speaking, with restraining orders and interim orders, you generally cannot appeal those as they're not what's considered like a final appealable order. And if you haven't gotten those and you try to appeal things, the court's going to sorry, we don't have jurisdiction over this. And there are times where courts will issue orders that are not appealable. For example, in a lot of juvenile court systems, if the magistrate issues an order, you can't necessarily appeal that order. What you do is you challenge it to the judge. Because remember, the magistrate works for the judge. And you would challenge it to the judge, and then from there, if you don't get what you want, you challenge up and onwards. But for right now, that's a good example of it. There's other times where you might try to challenge something, and they'll say it's not for us to do yet. It's not for us to do yet. And they also say when an order exceeds the presumptive duration of 14 days, it is unlikely that it will be considered a TRO. And these got extended. So we're not gonna worry about that, but we move on to hear the procedural history. In the days and months, notice they're looking at the days and months. Several protests have occurred at ICE facilities across the country. While many have been peaceful, others have been violent and even deadly. For example, September 24th, there was the shooting where the guy wounded detainees. Remember, that was the brave sniper. He permanently fucking deported. Well, he only killed one person. I thought he killed two, but he ended up fucking deporting a guy forever. They talk about September 26th, over 200 protesters blocked access to a gate in Chicago. And one of the protesters was apprehended with a gun. And since June, there have been regular protests at the federal building at the ICE facility. They say some are peaceful, but many have turned violent. And protesters have threatened law enforcement officers and the building. Based on its internal risk assessments, the Portland Police Bureau, the police department there, activated crowd management incident commanders and rapid response teams in June as a precautionary measure and through the 4th of July, and again in August. They made 25 arrests at the facility between June 11th and 19th. They say as a result of the destruction, DHS was forced to close the facility for more than 3 weeks throughout June. This impeded operations. So what did they do? Well, the buildings were the windows on the buildings remained boarded to prevent further damage or attempts at incursion, and to provide security for people working inside. But on September 18th, the city of Portland issued a notice of zoning violations, requiring the removal of the roof coverings within 30 days. Fuck you! I'm sure is what happened there. But that is hilarious. That is hilarious. That is hilarioso. That is hilarious. They said on June 8th, protesters placed wood rocks and a traffic barrier to impede operations. On June 11th, the guy set fire to various materials as a barricade. Protesters then placed a pole against the main lobby entrance, which they did this at the federal courthouse too. So those wooden doors, when they've made like those doors to barricade with, when they make the doors and they swing out, they take like a pole and stick it up against it. Now you can't open the door. So a pretty funny way of doing it. They say on June 14th, a serious incident occurred when a group of protesters, including one who's carrying a firearm, advanced up the driveway towards the main gate. Guys, remember, it's that gate, and we talked about this. This is the thing they're talking about here. If you guys remember, there's like a blue line painted on the ground. And there's a blue line right here. And this is as far as you're allowed to go. You're not allowed to cross the line. You're not allowed to basically go up this way either. You have to stay on the sidewalk. And then from here, this goes like this and goes down around. This is kind of like the little force field. If you cross this, it's lava. Well, what they did that night is they walked like all the way up in here. They got all the way up in that shit. They got all the way up in there. And they threw rocks at 6 at the guard shack. They fireworks at the police, the Federal Protective Service officers. They threw a mortar at the front entrance of the building, injuring an officer. Remember, guys, when they talk about the mortars, they're talking about the fireworks that go like, boom, like the big fireworks. And it's a very common tactic because it's a rudimentary destructive device. It's a rudimentary explosive. The other officers were forced to barricade inside the building, and the protesters placed chains on the doors. Eventually, they attempted to breach the front door and broke the front door's glass. And remember, this is before they built the walls up. They were forced to deploy long guns, but did not use them, and the protesters continued to throw mortars at the building. And then the Border Patrol Tactical Unit, BORTAC, remember, this is kind of like the hostage rescue team of the Border Patrol. These guys are fucking high speed. These guys are fucking pretty cool. They go banging out with the cartel on the border. They deployed an armored tactical vehicle to the building, and the ICE sent in their own little special response unit. And they pushed the protesters back. On June 24th, they attempted to set a flag on fire. And later, another one tried to light an incendiary device. And they say when officers approached the protesters, she threatened them with knives. They've also poured what they believe to be motor oil in the vehicle entrance. They say on June 24th, one of the protesters shot officers with a paintball gun. You got to be careful playing that game. You might get clapped for that. Especially if they just see you raise something up. But remember, that's also what the police shoot back is with pepper balls out of a paintball gun. And they also shined a laser in an officer's eyes, which can be blinding. Especially an infrared laser. You can be standing there, and if it's the middle of the daylight, if it's the middle of the day, even at night, and I'm shining an infrared laser in your eyes, you won't know until you go blind. That's how dangerous these lasers are. This happened in 2020 a ton. That same night, another protester was arrested for using a machete and a knife. They say on June 29th, somebody tampered with a building access card reader, and they say they was biting and fighting. 3 card readers were vandalized. When the card readers are inoperable, employees are delayed entering and exiting the building, and protesters take photographs that darks the officers and their family members. Now, this part here, I really don't care if you've been doxxed. Fucking deal with it. You got a gun. Fucking you and your buddies hang out and kill some of these people. That's what happens the first time these doxings happen, and a bunch of these little fucking Antifa faggots show up and they get dusted by a group of ICE guys hanging out their buddy's house. Guess what? It stops. That's how you handle these people. That's how you handle these people. I'm just saying, there's a way to handle them. Yeah, and that's the thing. An IR laser will blind you and you don't even realize it's happening until you go blind. You won't ever know. Yes, lasers are regulated through the FDA for some reason. Yes. But you can buy lasers off Alibaba that basically will burn a hole through everything. You can buy massively powerful lasers. You can even jailbreak them, make them more powerful. There's all kinds of crazy shit you can do with lasers. That's so dangerous. So dangerous. And they say on several occasions, protesters have followed officers who have been deployed to Portland back to their hotels, and groups have protested at the hotels. Several ICE officers have their names photographed and home addresses posted publicly in residential neighborhoods, along with threatening messages. Multiple ICE officers have had unknown individuals appear at their residences in vehicles and on foot, peering into their homes and recording officers coming and going. That's part of the game plan. It's intimidation, but it's also intelligence gathering. On July 4th, they observed several individuals defacing ICE property. ICE attempted to do everything they could to it. They ended up charging 22 defendants throughout June and July with offenses committed there at the U.S. Attorney's Office. And they say in June, a man was arrested for pointing a laser at people. And they say the protest regularly attempt to impede government vehicles as they enter and exit the facility. And that's where we see all the confrontation. And they say that on August 9th, a group of protesters became aggressive when ICE was leaving the facility and began striking the vehicle with their fist. FPS officers used pepper balls to push the protesters away from the vehicles. And this happens all the time. And then on September 1st, there was a guillotine outside the facility while 2 protesters wielded riot shields. This incident and others were recorded in multiple emails from PPB officers reporting their monitoring activities at the ICE facility. Remember, we saw that. Portland police are standing down. And the groups have been ranged from 40 to 200 people at different times of the day. And we've seen that. Some nights, nothing happening. Some nights, it keeps popping off. And it keeps going. Now, all kinds of stuff happens. There's been drones flying along. Those are going to be a concern because they're used for, ISR information, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. You can use a drone as an FPV drone. You can use it as a weapon. There's a lot going on there. And then later we're learning that Antifa has used older homeless people to go approach the facility. And, that these Antifa have just escorted homeless people up to the gate. They took custody of an elderly guy after he asked if he could just rattle the gates so the instigators would leave him alone. He was escorted behind the gates and interviewed. He told agents that he and several other homeless people were being coerced to act to initiate a response. Yeah, imagine that. They want to use people to cause and buffalo jump this. They're using these people, and guess what happens if you don't cooperate? They're going to fucking hurt you because they're fucking evil people. They said, they've had all kinds of problems. They talk about there are other days where 50 to 60 very active protesters who are Black Bloc or Antifa, just communists, anarcho-communists were at the gates. They've done all kinds of stuff. There have been other days where people are low energy. Some are all dressed in black. They have batons. It just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But they show there's quite a bit going on here. Look at all this. Look at all this. They keep going through all of this. I mean, it shows what's going on. And they point out here that FBS has deployed 115 officers from other regions on a 24/7 basis to maintain order. The Federal Protective Service spent over $2 million on overtime pay and expenses since June to maintain order. And then in September, ICE sent 3 of its certified special response agents to enhance the efforts there. Detailing Homeland Security investigations guys, which are they're actual guys out there solving crimes, diminishes HSI's operational capabilities nationwide. Like, they're using anybody they can get a hold of who's willing to show up. So they go through and they talk about mobilizing the National Guard. And then ultimately Donald Trump said the DOD wanted to contact the Oregon Adjutant General, head of the National Guard, who's the director of the Oregon Military Department, to request that they send the members in a non-federalized status. Now, the governor can help if he wants. The governor can also say, I'm only going to help if you're going to pay for it, which means the federal government gives them funding, but they operate under governor control. That's another way you could stay under Title 32. Well, that didn't happen. The governor rejected it. So on September 28th, he mobilized 200 members for a period of 60 days. They relied on the June 7th memorandum Trump had issued. On the June 7th, he cited several incidents of violence taking place across the country and invoked 12406. So what happened from here? They say there's the complaint in the TRO. So Oregon filed their TRO. And here's what happened. So the TRO initially enjoined the defendants from implementing the memorandum ordering the federalization and deployment of the National Guard. The district court said the plaintiffs are likely to succeed on their claim that the president's order is ultra vires, meaning, remember, guys, that's their catch-all for saying unconstitutional. That's their new catchphrase. Ultra vires! It's ultra vires! Ree! And then also wasn't authorized because there was no rebellion and the president could carry out his orders with regular forces. And they also claimed to violate the 10th Amendment, which is the only time you're ever going to see them supporting the 10th Amendment. Later that day, Oregon sought a second TRO in district court. The initial one only affected the National Guard in Oregon. And then after that, Trump sent 100 federalized members of the California Air National Guard to the Portland base with plans to send additional troops. And then eventually, there were no federalized members of the National Guard allowed. And they say that Trump has not appealed the second TRO. And they say at oral argument, the defendant's counsel explained they did not appeal the second TRO, which relies on the same legal conclusions because they concluded the district court would be required to resolve the second one if the first TRO gets stayed, and that's correct. If the first TRO is stayed, then Trump could just send the Oregon National Guard into Portland. Presumably at that point, too, the second one by operation of law would also dissolve, and that would make sense as well. Foreign Voltron says the president is overpowered. Yes, he's unstoppable. He is unstoppable. So they talk about when you do this, when you're trying to go over a stay, and you have to say, have you made a strong showing you're likely to succeed? Whether you'll be irreparably injured absent the stay. So it's kind of like the reverse conditions for a temporary restraining order injunction. They're very similar, except you're reverse-owing things. You know, have you made a strong showing you could succeed? Will you be irreparably harmed? Whether issuing the stay will substantially injure the other parties. And where does the public interest lie? And they point out the first two factors are the most critical, and I would agree. 1 and 2. Have you made a showing you can succeed, and will you be irreparably harmed? Yes. And now they talk about the binding effect of the Newsom v. Trump case. They say, we note our analysis here is circumscribed by our legal conclusions on the same issues. And they say that published motions panel orders may be binding as precedent for other panels deciding the same issue. Remember, that was not a case on the merits. That was about deciding the actual issue here of, the motion for the orders. That's all they were doing here. That's all they were doing. So they say, first in Newsom, we held that neither the political question doctrine nor the text precludes judicial review. And I think that's correct. The court has always the right to review things. They say, thus plaintiff's claims are justiciable and the president's decision to federalize is subject to judicial review. Correct. At oral argument, defendant's counsel, Trump, noted they intend to challenge these conclusions on the merits in Newsom. So remember, guys, we haven't not got that far in the Trump v. Newsom case. Just the stay happened. But they agree these holdings would be binding and argued the defendants would nonetheless prevail. And they say, second, they address whether we owe the president's determination deference, if so, and how much. They say in answering this question, we consider the Congress's delegation of its power to call forth the militia to the president. And they talk about the case of Martin v. Mott. That's the one where the guy ended up suing during the War of 1812. They cite other cases as well. And they said, we held that our review of the president's determinations is especially deferential. We must give a great level of deference to the president's determination that a predicate condition exists. Remember, because this is a very serious power the president's using. They say, but we also rejected the government's argument the president could federalize the National Guard on no evidence whatsoever. And that's true. He can't just say, because I wanted to. And that courts cannot review a decision. Well, they can. They say, finally, in the Newsom v. Trump case, we rejected the argument that the unable to execute with the regular forces requires a near or total interference. And they say, well, minimal interference with the execution may not be enough. The statute does not require the president to be completely precluded from executing the relevant laws of the U.S. to call it the National Guard. Nor does it suggest inactivation is inappropriate so long as any continued execution is feasible. And that kind of very much goes to the idea of you don't have to show you're completely frustrated in your ability and use before you take advantage of a law. Because a lot of times we would all agree that's really foolhardy. Same thing with like self-defense. You don't have to wait till you're being attacked to defend yourself. The fact that you have to be injured first would be preposterous. They say, applying these conclusions, we turn to the first and most important factor, whether there's a strong showing they're likely to succeed. Well, we're going to get to that. They say the president's authority is statutory, not constitutional, and that's correct. And they go through the three factors. We've already been through them here. We go through the rest of that. And now Trump argues that we had the right to do it. We had the right to do this. And they say, because we determined as we did in Newsom, it allows us to conclude Trump is going to prevail, so they don't address part two. Now, they go to the ultra vires claim, and they say this is bullshit. And they say that Trump has shown a likelihood of success that he can win on the unable to execute the regular forces argument. And they say, well, the district court cited this standard, it erred in failing to apply it, saying the judge fucked up. Instead, the district court substituted its own assessment of the facts for the president's assessment. This is the opposite of significant deference, which is true. Oh, no, I'm being highly deferential. Orange man bad is how the judge handled that. That is how that just happened. That is how that broke down, chat. She said orange man bad and went re. And it said, first, the district court erred by determining that Trump's colorable assessment of the facts is limited by undefined temporal restrictions and by the district court's own evaluation of the level of violence necessary to impact the execution of federal laws. Meaning, she's deciding how much violence is too much violence. And they said it would only apply the colorable basis to the facts as they existed at the time Trump federalized the Guard. Meaning, not before and not after, only in the now. You can only rely on the now. So the district court then discounted the violent and disruptive events that occurred in June, July, and August, and only focused on a few events in September. You see how fucking insane that is? And I said the district court discounted most of the events in Portland from June through September anyway. And they point out they did not define what period would be encompassed in an assessment of the facts. It's just ridiculous. Like, this is completely just cherry-picked. They say Section 12406 contains no limitations. Yeah, you don't see anything about the past couple of months here. It just says, can you can you execute the laws of the regular forces? Yes or no? That's all it's looking at. That's all it's looking at. That's all it's looking at. So they only require determination the president is unable to execute with the regular forces. The statute delegates the authority to make sure the president does not limit the facts and circumstances that the president may consider in doing so. And they say, indeed, the inherently subjective nature of this evaluation demonstrates the president has the authority to identify and weigh relevant facts. And they say the president can and should consider the totality of circumstances when determining whether he is unable to execute with the regular forces. And they say rather than reviewing the determination with deference, the district court substituted its own determination. And they say that approach is error. And they point out our dissenting colleague takes a similar approach. So it's 2-on-1, man. They are tag teaming this other judge. And they point out that the president, they say the dissent claims the president's inquiry is limited because the statute lacks any forward-looking language. They say that doesn't resolve whether the president may consider past events, which is true. They say all three prongs are the same as to what prior events may be considered. And the president is entitled and indeed duty-bound to evaluate the entire context of events leading up to a decision to invoke 12406 as part of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws may be faithfully executed. Article 2, Section 3. So they're saying Trump is doing the right thing, chat. That he's being based and a steward of the Constitution. He's doing it the right way. He's doing it the right way. And they say, second, the court erred on placing Trump's social media statements. The district court interpreted characterizing Portland as war-ravaged as the equivalent of the president ignoring the facts on the ground. This is them saying, okay, honey, take off your Redditor hat. And they say this is error for two reasons. For one, under Newsom, we consider whether the facts provide a colorable basis. Even if the president may exaggerate the extent of the problem with social media, this does not change that other facts provide a colorable basis. They say for another, the president's social media posts characterizing Portland as war-ravaged may reasonably be viewed by part of his assessment of the rebellion prong, which we don't reach. Yes, or he could just be, as the British say, taking the piss. It's hyperbole, Judge Karen. Hyperbole, honey. And they say, moreover, 12406 cannot be analyzed solely on external protests and violence. They must also consider the internal assessment of its ability to enforce laws. And they point out that nearly 115 officers, nearly 25% of the nationwide were diverted to Portland. Guys, think about that. Like I said, that is a massive problem. When you are any sort of organization, you have 25% of your deployable and available manpower in one spot, basically on 24/7 shifts. That's not sustainable for the rest of the thing, especially if you're nationally dispersed. Because where you pulled from all those different places, now they're all short. And it just, the issues compound and compound and compound. For those of you guys who have ever worked, you work your job and, people don't show up at other departments. Or if another shift doesn't show up, that fucks over everybody else. And, shit builds and builds and builds and builds. People don't show up for shift work. Well, that just kind of fucks everything up for everybody else. So, the Trump court, the rules Trump is based in red pilled, yes. Well, the two judges who went for this are two Trump appointees, so very based. It's like Safa. And although he might be done and out for us, chat, we may have to get another one. In the meantime, I will say this is very much correct, but yes, as Donnie would say, Safa Donnie's here with us, chat. He's like, suffer. Suffer! Ah. Ah. Anna Wall says means overtime for me. Yeah, and for me too. That would happen when I've worked other jobs. But you fucking hate the other people, especially on Friday nights where like everybody's mom dies, and like oh my grandma died tonight, and my car won't start. Like I think I mentioned before, when I worked at FedEx, I came to the conclusion I should start a funeral service that only operates on Fridays, or a towing company that only operates on Fridays, because everybody's car breaks down on a Friday, and then everybody's grandma dies on a Friday. And, it's just like everybody's grandma dies on a Friday, apparently. Everybody I worked with. Why weren't you here last week? Oh, my grandma died. Every Friday you wake up and you're like, God, please accept all these grandmoms coming to you tonight. Oh. And they say... And they say the president may reasonably rely on this evidence. They say the dissent only reaches a different conclusion by characterizing the evidence as staffing difficulties and committing the same error as discounting, minimizing, and discrediting the defense Trump's undisputed evidence. And as they point out, the dissent erroneously asserts that we accept the government's characterization of Portland as a war zone. They're saying clearly we do not. And they say that while Trump bears a burden, the dissent demands, as the district court did, far more evidence than what is required to support a colorable assessment. And they say, third, the district court erred by concluding the surge deployments of FPS and HSI officers from around the country established the regular forces were able to execute the laws of the United States. And they say that this conclusion can only be reached by overlooking the record. You had to deploy 25% of the agency's capacity working 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. You destroy people doing that. Even if you enjoy tear-gassing hippies and throwing flashbangs at communists, you can only do that for so long before you're just wasted. I mean, it'll wear you out. It also established these deployments were irregular and unsustainable. They said there were multiple declarations from the Deputy Director of the Federal Protective Services and the DHS Field Office Director who oversees ICE's operations. They state these surges and assignments strain resources and are unsustainable. They say it's not the FPS is not resourced to provide large-scale response to ongoing civil unrest or sustained attacks. And FPS's efforts to contain the violence have placed an unreasonable strain on the FPS, as well as their limited resources. Remember, they're not a big agency. 25%, there's under 500 of them. There's not that many. Not that many of them. So, they point out 115 officers are there for a 24/7 op tempo. These officers are expected to respond to emergencies after hours and on weekends and holidays. They're not expected to work 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, which has become the norm. They point out that HSI, Homeland Security Investigation, sent 3 SRTs there. It diminishes their nationwide capabilities because those are, they're high-speed teams. And it says, disregarding the uncontested evidence, the district court rejected the arguments. They say because under its own assessment of the facts, that these show that federal officers unaided by military forces were capable of not only quelling, but preventing the violence. But the district court turned the analysis on its head by interpreting the modest improvements created by the surge, claiming Trump didn't have a colorable basis. The district court accorded no deference to the president's determination he could not execute the federal laws with regular forces. And it says, considering the totality of the circumstances to June through September and applying the highly deferential standard of review, not only just the highest, we conclude the president's assessment of the situation in Portland reflects a colorable assessment of the facts within a range of honest judgment. Therefore, they're likely to succeed on the merits of the ultra vires claim, meaning we think he'll do it. We think they'll win, which I think so too. Well, I mean, if you can't win in Oregon, where the fuck can you win? I mean, they literally turned the building into a plywood palace. They also showed that the district court also said the plaintiffs are likely to show the federalization violated the 10th Amendment. Now, they talk about the Seventh Circuit here, and this is where it becomes interesting, because remember, the Seventh Circuit said actually President Trump, it doesn't count. Remember, they said in the Seventh Circuit that the regular forces means the regular military. Like, you have to use the regular military before you can send in the National Guard. It's like, that makes no goddamn sense. But okay. You know, if you say so, we'll send in the Army. They point out the Seventh Circuit's order is not binding and not analogous to the facts here. And they say in Chicago, the federal government has been able to protect property with the National Guard's help. That's something the court there determined. And they say, by contrast, protesters in Portland have actively assaulted the government employees for months. You know, threatening them with knives, machetes, and other objects, attempting to blind them. They say in Chicago, federal facilities have remained open. They say, but in Portland, violent protests forced the government to close the building for over 3 weeks and keep the windows boarded. And they say that in Chicago, the sporadic disruptions have been quickly contained by local, state, and federal authorities. They say in Portland, the protests have endured for months, and the Portland police are either unwilling or unable to respond. Well, we're pretty sure they're unwilling. And we've seen that. There have been emails that the PPB has been told to stand down. A bunch of them are little commie fucks anyway who don't want to be involved. But we can also see there are PPB members basically and people run around in them. So this is a great example of what's going on here. You could see that they're doing this. Here you go. Whoa.
What did that person do?
Looks like they're shining something in the... They're hiding behind the sign.
Now look what happens.
And they're running for cover behind Portland police.
Because guess what? They're not going to shoot at the cops.
Oh my god. You've got to be kidding me.
They're screaming pussies it's funny. They're hiding behind the cops they call bastards and Nazis and communists. A piece of shit. I have to wake up class every once in a while. Well, yeah, this is a lot here. State says my hubby worked 7 to 12s a lot when he was young. 7-12s a lot when he was younger. I mean, when I worked at FedEx, like once you got to like right after Halloween, peak started, and especially because we worked Saturdays, and then we started working Sunday sorts, and then after a while, we started working like basically 7 days a week. We would just work like Friday night into Saturday morning, and almost Saturday at noon, I would go home, sleep for the day, and then wake up, and then, go back to bed Saturday night, wake up Sunday morning at like 9, drive in at 10 a.m. on Sunday, and work till like 10 o'clock. I'd work at 10 to 10. So, I mean, I understand. And that shit, when you're younger, you can do that. It just goes and goes and goes. But fuck doing that now. Fuck doing that now. And it's one thing when you're working a regular job. You're working a job where people are trying to injure you and shit like this is going on all day. Guys who have been deployed will tell you when you're on the FOB or something like that, where you're a cop, actually, like when you're in an outpost somewhere, like being on guard all the time and being on edge all the time wears you out. It'll wear you out fast. So is the guard deployed or not yet? Not yet, but it will be. Because now this has been lifted, the guard will be able to be deployed. But look what they're doing. They're just hiding behind the fucking cops.
Shoot everybody else to shoot one person.
You got, come on!
Somebody else.
We should be allowed to hear what the fuck they're talking about.
Nobody told us anything, so we're standing there. We don't know what's going on.
Oh my god, is this the
So it's just like,
Look at him. He's like, oh, I didn't know they were doing that. Nobody told us. Fuck you.
she's literally running behind you guys.
And we don't know why she's running.
So
We don't know why she's running. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. We don't know why she's running.
literally running behind you guys.
And we don't know why she's running.
So
You literally could fucking see. You're literally standing right there, looking at the whole fucking thing. Oh, we didn't know what she's trying to do, Mr. Federal Policeman. We's just simple Poland police folk. We don't know what's going on wrong. We just don't know. No, sir. Like, nobody fucking, like, does anybody believe that? I sure as fuck don't. Oops, sorry, I had to throw Trump on the ground. He was in the way. Get out of the way, Trump! It's my party now. We need to start getting the J.D. Vance cutouts ready. President Vance! Hold on here. Hold on, chat. I gotta answer this real quick. So, I like fat J.D. Vance. Well, I mean, who doesn't like any J.D. Vance? Like, you know, that's the best part about J.D. Vance. So, J.D. Vance is the needful. Yes, he is. The needful Tsar. But yes, here we go. Like, he's like, I don't know what's happening. We do.
nice.
Yeah, I don't know what they were running from. Herp, burp, derp, burp.
What did that person
Well, they were trying to shoot a guy out of bringing away.
That was like,
Those people would kill you if they had the chance. Those people would kill you. So. Okay, real quick. Let me see here. Jefferson Post says the cartels must have legitimate equipment against Bortak. We've covered that before when El Chapo's kid got arrested. Like, the cartels rolled up and, like, they took 50 caliber machine guns and put them in dump trucks to make, like, improvised armored fighting vehicles. Yes, the cartels have very good equipment. They're very highly, like, yeah, they got chainsaws and machetes to cut people's heads off with. But yes, the cartels are highly equipped, very well trained, and heavily armed. Yes, the cartels are fucking dangerous. Styropyro has videos about the dangerous eBay lasers. Oh yeah. Or if you're lucky enough, you can get a hold of like a pursed laser for a Russian peck, basically. Everett Scott says Secretary of War. Not until Congress changes it, because the War Department was absorbed into the Department of the Army during the reformation of the U.S. military post-World War II. So, no, there is no more Department of War. It's gone. It's gone. Maelstrom says, at their age, I was getting stoned and taking road trips to White Castle. Well, yeah, that's what happens there. Jefferson Post says the second TRO is such, well, that's not fair. Energy. It is. It is. You know, and you told the president, don't do X, so he did Y, and you're like, don't do that either! Arrgh! They got so mad. January 6th, 2.0 for $10. Thank you. Says, have you seen Andy No's interview where he said Antifa's goal of violence is to get the footage of police retaliating to sue civilly in favorable courts, and they win? What's the solution? There is no solution except not baiting, not taking the bait, and then when you crush them, you win. But you just don't take the bait. But that's what scumbags do. And Stephen Cooper for $5 says, what would happen if the feds went after the Portland Tifa PD? I don't know, but eventually at some point I can see that happening, the DOJ opening an investigation, but not yet, not yet. But we'll see it at some point. Let's see here. So, yeah, that's the thing, that the cartels have their own cell networks. Yeah. They have their own cell networks. Not K says they also have jamming tech. Yeah, if you guys ever seen those videos of the guys, they have the little things on their backs with like 10 antennas sticking out. Those are portable cell jammers and signal jammers. Yeah, that might give you cancer carrying it like that. But if you also watch Paratus or Canine Reaper on Twitter, Canine Reaper especially used to be on Future Conflicts all the time. They're finding these guys in South Africa carrying cell jammers when they go attack homes. And they throw on the cell jammer and you can't dial out for help. Spectrum jamming is a thing, and you could buy those on eBay Amazon. Up until I don't know if you can anymore, but up until about 6 months ago, you could buy a fucking decent cell phone jammer for like $300. I still think you can buy signal jammers. Let me see here. Actually, I don't know if you can now. I don't know if you can. I don't think you can here. Let me just double check. Why is it? I hate this when you're trying to type in Amazon. It gets all stupid. Yeah, they got rid of their cell phone jammers. Because you could buy a multi-spectrum jammer for basically getting it delivered to your house. I should have bought them when they were available. But they're available. They're available. Like, if you guys have never seen the pictures of these dudes, they carry cell phone jammers everywhere they go. Yep, so you can't call for help. You know, your Baofeng or your cell phone ain't gonna work. So. But let's get back to it. There's Jammer Store. Well, I didn't know that. I just knew you could buy them on a... Doesn't the FCC have a tactical division? No, they have... This is where you should actually watch, like, the Ham Radio Awards banquet for the, whatever their national association is. They have, like, 3 or 4 guys that go around and do all the investigations and enforcement. So, now, if they think there's a problem, they could round up some, like, marshals and an FBI team. But otherwise, no, they're just guys who drive around with RF finders and figure out what's going on. So. Baofeng is a jammer, well, to an extent. You can't jam cell phone signals with it, but anyways. Let's keep going. Let's keep going with this. We're wasting time here. So they point out here, the district court correctly explained that no matter the context, the president's authority to act necessarily stems either from an act of Congress or the Constitution itself. And they say when the president federalizes the National Guard absent an authorization by Congress, he necessarily violates the 10th Amendment. But as we concluded, the president lawfully federalized the National Guard under 124063, which Congress authorized. Therefore, they're going to succeed on the 10th Amendment claim. And they point out that normally you don't address the rest of this because we're already won. It doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter now. So they point out that they talk about the last 2 factors merge when the government is the opposing party. Remember, it's the irreparable injury. Will the stay injure the other parties? And where's the public interest? Remember, it's just like an injunction. Those last 2 factors when the government's involved merge. So you only have 3 factors instead of 4. So they point out that they concluded both irreparable harm and the public interest weigh in the favor of Trump. who have an uncontested interest in the protection of federal agents and property. And they say here the undisputed facts show the protesters damaged a federal building, leading to its closure. It was attempted to be burned down, the glass was broken in, federal officers were assaulted, the lasers. You know, the federal government has an interest in preventing that. And, you know, they go on to point out the dissent says there's no irreparable harm because a second TRO still prevents Trump from deploying the Guard. But this argument lacks merit. The district court stated it granted the second based on the same reasoning it provided in the other order. So the defendants are thus correct. The first and second TROs rise or fall together. And I agree. Because literally a day went by and they got another TRO with the exact same fact pattern. So they're interlinked. You see a turtle on a post, interlinked. And it says the second TRO could be extended to preclude the deployment of members of the California National Guard is a separate issue. But this provides no basis for the conclusion that there's no harm. And they say that, well, Oregon argues the other factors weigh in their favor. They acknowledge that Trump has the right protecting his property. They argue that Trump will not be harmed in the absence of a stay because threats to federal agents and property have been remedied by federal civilian law enforcement. But they point out that using the FPS is unsustainable. And state and local law enforcement have been unable or unwilling to assist the government's efforts to protect federal personnel and property at the ICE facility. And notice, they're pointing out here that, you know what, by Portland wanting to be so fucking awesome about this, they fucking hurt themselves. They hurt themselves here. We'll show you, we won't help. Well, I guess you're not helping. That's a problem. No, not like that. No. That's what happened here. Portland's like, wait, no, we do want to help. And that's just going to be like, you said you wouldn't. And that's where we are here. They say also the irreparable harm weighs in their favor because the National Guard over the objections causes sovereign injury. And they say that while the plaintiffs have significant interest, their arguments are in essence of merits that we have already resolved. The power to call forth the militias to Congress, and Congress has delegated part of that power to the president. Therefore, the plaintiffs' arguments on the remaining factors rise and fall with their argument on the merits. And because we've concluded he's likely to succeed, the other factors fail. So for these reasons, Trump is getting a motion for a stay pending appeal. Well, there are some updates here. And as this came out, I know Robert Barnes doesn't like this guy, and that should tell you maybe you should listen to him. Because if Robert Barnes hates this man, maybe this man has something to say. He pointed out that less than 2 hours later, the Ninth Circuit couldn't even wait 2 hours before calling a vote on whether they would hear the case en banc, meaning the entire court. It would be the entire court. And they didn't even wait 2 hours. That means all full-time active judges will vote whether the court, sitting through 11 members out of 29, should rehear the case. So it's it's a whole panel. And they point out this is noteworthy because some judge, probably the same one, I think it's probably the same one, called for the same vote back in July after the Newsom v. Trump case. There's no information on the outcome of that vote has ever been made public. It's possible, and he says probably likely, I agree, that the full court voted against en banc review, and whoever called for it is writing some long dissent that hasn't been finished yet. He says, though, this only increases the chances SCOTUS will take up the stay motion, followed by the DOJ regarding the Seventh Circuit. Because remember, guys, we're now having conflicting issues in the circuits. We're now having conflicting issues. So that is where we're starting to get, some problems. We're starting to get some problems. Voltron says, does that include Robert Barnes? Yes. Yes, Robert Barnes hates everybody, including name not Frank. Yes. 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 You know. Tim Pool is on his way to cover the ICE rights in person. Yeah. So P-Dub is saying a circuit split. Yep. Does that mean it's not automatic? But yes, the Supreme Court's going to have to take this up. It's an Article 2 issue about the president's inherent authority as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So yes, I would like to think they're going to address it. And Shredder S07 says, we're starting to get some problems interlinked. Tim's going to ride a skateboard all the way to Portland. Yeah. Yes. Shredder S07 says, the reformation of the DOD. Well, yeah. Foreign Voltron says, who would win, one cartel or an AC-130 gunship? The Fist of God. I'd be careful because those guys probably have man-portable surface-to-air missiles. Like, and I'm not talking about some shitty, like, Igla or Strela that's 30 years old. I guarantee you they probably have access to, like, the top-notch shit out of China. Or they probably have some sort of black market stingers. So, no, I would not want to be trying the... I would not try that. And Muspel says, the Pursed 4 is so good. I thought about getting one of those for a while when they were they were like $200 and it was better than a Peck. But I just didn't have, like, I was like, my luck, I'll buy it and it'll get stuck in customs. So. Blade 2.0 says Obama armed the cartels. No, the CIA has armed the cartels for decades. Obama helped, but it was already in process. Shredder says, I bet some of the hardware left in Afghanistan is now at the southern border. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. January 6th, 2.0 for $5. Thank you. Says, is why Portland doesn't assist to avoid the bait and not be sued again civilly. Isn't this a win-win for Antifa? If so, therefore not a solution? Well, no, because remember, the government, if the Portland government, the government's not going to sue the government. So I don't think so, because the people in charge of the Portland government would be happy writing checks to the commies. They just don't want to. They don't want to attack their fellow communists. This is an issue about making money. It's don't fight the revolutionary communists or they'll kill you. So, some guy with cancer for $4.99. Tell him the judge, Your Honor, put the fries in the bag. Yes, I hope you're doing good, man. Hope you're feeling good today. Good to see you. JMK says they only sue people. Oh no, they do all kinds of things. It's just this is a way for them to make money, is by filing force lawsuits, use of force lawsuits. They're still revolutionary communists, have no problem killing every single one of us. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem here. So that is what's happened there. Now, there is an update. So, where is... Hold on here, chat. I'm trying to bring this up. Oh, who just messaged me? Let me, hold on here, chat. I need to back this out and see it. Oh, this is not working. Hold on here. Let me see here, chat. Hold on. So, ultimately, we don't have an update on this issue of... We don't have an update yet. But I'm presuming at some point this will happen. This will happen. And this is actually a pretty good, Yes, it's so peaceful, chat. Look at this. Look how peaceful it is. Look how peaceful.
And then some of the protesters are throwing back the flashbangs right back at the Federalization. But look at the scenes here. We're going to get a bit closer here.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Thank you, EDW.
There it is. The truck right on again. wow.
And obviously, we saw you, Jorge,
So-
rightfully put on your mask.
So there you go. Yes, and having a good sealing gas mask is always critical, chat. It's always critical. Now, from here, though, we did get some... now, notice, we're on page 36 of 93. Right up here, guys, look. 36 of 93. You're like, oh, it doesn't sound so bad. That's all... there's some concurrence here. We're not worried about the concurrence. You're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This judge has a concurrence, and it goes on and 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 on. Now we move on to the dissent, which starts at page 58. The dissent is long. The dissent is long. And this is the Clinton judge reeing her fucking head off. She focuses on the social media post about it being war ravaged. And she just starts reeing and reeing and reeing. But she says this decision is not merely absurd, it erodes the constitutional principles, including sovereign states' control. Actually, hold on. I know what we need playing in the background. I know. Hold on, chat. You ready? I know what we need. Okay, this is I don't know. This is what we need in the background right now. All right, hold on. Here we go, chat. This is what we need in the background. This is just I need to read this in her voice. Here we go. I'll read it to you. Today's decision is not merely absurd. It erodes core constitutional principles, including sovereign states' control over their states' militias and the people's First Amendment rights to assemble and object to the government's policies and actions. I strenuously dissent. It's Orange Hitler is coming for us, chat. No. This is just, it's so funny. It's so funny here. This woman just goes and goes and goes here. And she concludes, the founders recognized the inherent dangers of allowing the federal executive to wrest command of the state militia from the states. Congress did not authorize deployment in merely inconvenient circumstances. And Article 3 commands that we enforce those limits. Today, the president seeks to bring troops into one set of states to enforce a set of laws. A future president may seek to bring back troops into a different set of states to enforce a different set of laws. Partisans who cheer this use of troops to protect personnel are enforcing federal immigration laws would do well to consider. If a future president uses troops to protect personnel who are enforcing laws they vehemently dislike. It's so sad, chat. It's so sad. We have come to expect a dose of political theater in the political branches. Like this! Drama designed to rally the base or to rile and intimidate political opponents. We also may expect that a measure of bending, sometimes breaking the truth. The truth! By design, the judicial branch stands apart. Citation needed. We rule on facts, not on supposition or conjecture. It's certainly not on fabrication or propaganda. I urge my colleagues on this court to act swiftly to vacate the majority's order before the illegal Deployment of troops under false pretenses can occur. Above all, I ask those who are watching this case unfold to retain faith in our judicial system for just a little longer. And see. And no, that I'm not joking. That literally is something this fucking dumb bitch wrote. She literally wrote this. She literally wrote this fucking nonsense. She literally fucking wrote this. I mean, look how fucking cell phone aware do you have to be right now? How cell phone aware do you have to be right now? Clip that last line. Yes. Alyssa, clip it! Where were these acting chops in the dented zone? Hey, I made multiple cuts. You got to get mad at the... Hey, it got left on the cutting room floor. My performance! Being the tour de force! You know, they just didn't want me to take over the show. Better than Pedro Pascal. Well, I just need to go out there and awkwardly start touching women, too, if I'm doing it for him. Oh, this is a real fucking thing here, chat. This is a real comment. You know, the judicial branch stands apart. We rule on facts, not supposition or conjecture, and certainly not on fabrication or propaganda. You literally believe Trump was talking about it being a fucking war zone, you dumb cunt. And notice, as she's losing, she's like, help, help. She's like, help me, help me. Oh, Lord, help me on bunk. Help me. And above all, I ask those who are watching this case to unfold to retain faith in our system for just a little while longer. You know what? It's like the song goes, why don't you stay just a little bit longer? Clarence Thomas is going to give you a stay. And it's getting stronger. Oh. Sean does his own stunts. Yes. 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 Well. And the Antifa's on the bus and they're ready to go. We have to drive all night for another riot in Chicago. So, the billionaires, the stage is all empty. Let the billionaires take the stage. Fuck, I can't do the whole Jackson Brown song. What's it called? The Loadout, right? Yeah. My acting is great, my singing not so much. Yeah. Luke is like, this is why we need the Handmaid's Tale. Yes! This is why I need a size 85 Hugo Boss blouse. And I need a brand new Luger. I am not going to act like Eamon Goff and sit there and go through every pistol I have in my possession. I can't believe fewer than 500 people are getting to see this firsthand. Well, there you go, chat. There you go. Send this out to Tim Pool. Send this out to Andrew Wilson. Get me known, chat. Help me out. So, it's a tunic. It's technically a felled blouse. I don't know. Tour de Force is a DSP product. It should be called Horse Divorce. Yes. Yes. The system is down. I need somebody flicking the lights while we do that. Does anyone know what songs these are? You guys have never heard the Jackson Brown song? Like, hold on. You guys have never heard this before? Yeah, you never heard this song? Really? I can't believe you guys have never heard this. You probably heard this a little bit. I can't believe you haven't.
Now the seats are all empty. Let the roadies take the stage. Pack it up and tear it down. They're the first to come and the last to leave. Work out for that minimum wage.
Can't believe you guys ever heard this
They'll
song
set
before.
it up in another town.
And then he does the, well, I think this is.
We just passed it. Country and west. Only time that seems too short is the time that we get to play. People, you got the power over what we do. You can sit there and wait, or you can pull us through. Come along.
But you haven't heard this song before? I'm surprised you guys haven't heard this before. I'm disappointed. You're not a boomer. I'm not either. Yeah. Yeah, why don't you stay just a little bit longer? Yeah, all of his stuff is the 70s, though. Yes. Mad Marsh's got it. Perfect. Boomer confirmed. I'll boom your mom. Yes, he wrote Take It Easy and gave it... He wrote Take It Easy and gave it to the Eagles? Wow! You're going to get struck. No, what happens is they demonetize this. And it's a copyright claim. I'm not going to get struck. So, but yeah, he wrote Take It Easy and gave it to the Eagles. Wow. That's fucking epic. You're just like, yeah, here you go. Here's a song I wrote. Like, fucking awesome shit. And yes, I like the Eagles. Fine, I'm a boomer. So, 60-year-old Sean's music taste. Oh my God. I like Frankie Valli's Stay just a little bit longer. Yeah. It's Jackson Brown with an E on the end. Thank you very much. So, I have an old soul. E. Dervis says, fuck the Eagles. What you got? What did Don Henley fuck your mom or something and not call back? Is that the problem? Why do people hate the fucking Eagles? Nothing wrong with them. Yes, the E at the end, like in white. I listen to the same music as my dad. I'm 42. Oh, stop. Oh, is it from the Lebowski? I don't remember that part of it. Who says I fucking hate the Eagles? Love the Eagles. Don Henley can go fuck himself. Oh, yeah. I make fun of the boomers, but they had the last good music. Yeah, they did. I mean, really. They had really good music. The only cool member is Joe Walsh. Well, Joe Walsh is awesome. Joe Walsh was awesome. Only commies hate the Eagles. I agree. The dude says that? And the taxi cab when he gets kicked out? Really? I don't recall that part, but yes, if he was involved in, like, you know, the Port Huron statement, yeah, he probably wouldn't like the Eagles. So, I didn't know that. So, Jamel throws him out on the road. I forgot about that part. Yeah, I forgot. Boomers had shit music. I don't know about that. Grunge was cool. It was fine. Joe Walsh is no Tommy. You really, like, are people going to give Joe Walsh shit now? He was great. I mean, Marty Robbins is nothing but bangers. That he does. Yes, he listens to the Eagles. Barton Bell is saying, what statement? Well, if you listen to Big Lebowski, he says he helped write the original Port Huron statement, and that was what the Students for a Democratic Society put together in like 1962, when they started really organizing and getting very powerful. There's the big commie element in the student movement across America. Well, he says, I helped write the original Port Huron statement, not the watered down one that everybody learned about later. So he was very much in the student protesting movement. When he's sitting there smoking weed with the, what's the name of what's her name? The chick who paints naked with her body. I forget her name now. Julianne Moore. That's the person she's smoking with. It's the one she gets knocked up. Yes, Henley Fries go Joe Walsh of a band chair, yeah. So. CCR was pretty awesome. Yeah, they were okay. (1978 to 1990) is the best music. Everything else was shit. Okay, a lot of good music came out, but remember, like we talked about, the year I was born. Like, you have like Aha. There's like, you gotta be careful with the '80s. Like, there was a lot of shitty music in the 1980s. Like, don't gloss over that. So. Yes. Let's see here. No, it says it Lord Huron. No, Port Huron. At that time, the UAW, at the time it had Walter. Fuck, what was his name? He was the head of the UAW throughout the 60s. Was very big into helping the student movements. And he said, like, hey, commies, go use our retreat up in Port Huron, Michigan, and go have, like, a workshop. And they became really revolutionary up there. And they wrote the Port Huron Statement. Which, if you ever read it, Google it. Port Huron, Huron. It's some fucking commie claptrap, let me tell you what. Let's see here. My favorite quote is, say what you want about National Socialism, at least it's an ethos. Yeah. Hey, I mean, if it's... Man's gotta have a code. As Bunk once told us. Bunk Moreland says, man's gotta have a code. So. Aha was good, fight me. I'll fucking fight. I'll be like Rip on Yellowstone. I'll fight you all goddamn day! On that. So, you know what was shit? The Beatles. Yes, I do not like the Beatles. Wheezy says, what was the number one song the day you were born? Mine was Baby Got Back. Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World in August of 1985. Now, that said, later in August of 1985, The Power of Love became the number one Billboard song, which that's pretty good. That's a good one, too. August of 1985, it's a banger songs. But it was Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Yes, Joe Walsh went to Kent State. Yep, in beautiful Ohio, where they can't read and they can't write. Let's see here. Now you guys are just like dropping. You're just saying music stuff now. Stop. Proof that Sean's old. Why? Why am I proof that I'm old? Aha was good. Interlinked. Oh, no. Yeah, the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald is coming up. Yeah. Yeah. So. Keopathic says, I'm older than you. I just had a shit song. Well, yeah, if you look through 1985, there is some... I dodged some fucking bullets. Let me tell you what. I dodged some bullets, Chad, let me tell you. Jefferson Post, yes. It's a long descent. Same reason the left can't meme. Yeah. Too long, didn't read. Then Shredder S. 07 for 10 subs. Let's fucking go tonight, chat. Let's go. Guys, every sub you send in 2.0 will feel better. She's feeling a little... She's under the weather. She got a sore throat tonight. So, chat, if we could get 100 subs, 2.0 will have a recovery by tomorrow. Don't do it. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm fucking around, you guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. Now, Just Jam. That almost sounds like it's like the... Now, that's what I call music, 25. It's like, now, Just Jams. Remember, for 9 months. This is so terribly sad. I do declare. Well, thank you. Thanks for the support. Kathy, your realtor, living in New Jersey. Guys, remember, if you're trying to buy, sell, lease, whatever it is in New Jersey, if it involves land, you want to do fee simple absolutes, fee simples condition to a condition subsequent, life estates, whatever it is. Kathy, I don't know if you know what those are. Kathy's your girl. Hit her up in New Jersey. She'll take care of you. Robin Hood's been a new member. Thank you, Robin Hood, for re-upping. 93 RT is a member for 36 months. Let's go. Damn. And I know a lot of you guys have been here for that much time or longer, but it is fucking humbling to see that kind of a number. Although I've seen on other channels, like, 50-some months, 60-some months. God, 36 fucking months. Like, think about it. I've been doing this. Like, you joined back in November of 2022. Man, we were riding high at that point. Imagine, like, I would still go, like, Nick would be like, hey, man, you want to come on? We'd have fucking fun. We go on all kinds of shit, do all kinds of things. Look how far we've come, chat. Look how far we've come. Oh, it's after all that we've been through. Would you guys still call this love? I think so. January 6th, 2.0 for $5 says. Thank you, by the way. My point is to stop Antifa, to stop the money. Napoleon said amateurs do tactics. Professionals do logistics. Logistics run on money. Correct. But the better way to deal with logistics is interdicting the logistics. So not stopping the money, but stopping their funding, like their underlying funding. Because they're really getting funding from all these different organizations and nonprofits. That's where they're really getting the money. So you need to find out who's supplying them with all the tents around the Portland building. Are those apartments in that apartment building being rent subsidized by organizations? That's how you go. You attack the infrastructure of an organization. But yes, that would be part of it as well. Correct. Stephen Cooper gifting 10 subs. Debbie O gifting 10 subs. And chat, remember, you're just crushing those grays. And Debbie O's been a member for 21 months. Babe, are you up still? 2.0? Okay. Debbie O wants you to feel better. Get well soon. She says thank you. She's like, my throat's sore. I'll be like, yeah, buddy. And she's like, thank you. So, oh. Pray the gray away, chat. Yes. Pray the gray away. Amon Rezu gifting 10 subs. Let's fucking go. Guys, I was joking. She won't get better. I can't guarantee. I don't want this to happen because if you guys do, like, I'll end up having to be like, well, Chad, I had to take her to the ICU last night after the show. So please stop. Don't keep going. Like, give them because it's not going to help. Like, you want to do it, not because you're going to make her feel better. I can't guarantee that outcome. I'm going to get in trouble with the FTC soon. Oh. Now, what was it that I wanted to... Oh, we got to get some other comments we got to get to up here. Figures saying, I have to pass by that place very often. It's mad stressful. I bet it's... Oh, God, I got to trim my wings there. I bet it's awful. Keopathic says, what is more to say? Make a video called I'm Fat while eating 3 meat sandwiches. Well, why would you, like, I mean, I just, like, a nice big thick bologna sandwich would be better. A fried bologna would be even better. 3 meat, that seems excessive. You don't really get to enjoy the meat. Let's see here. Oh, Ars Athena says, if you hadn't become a lawyer, you would have made a really good history professor. I mean, I've thought about, like, not being a big fat sack of shit at some point, and, like, I don't know, I think it'd be funny to go, like, substitute teach one day or a couple of days, like history. I think that'd be kind of interesting. So, like, that would be kind of fun. I don't think overall I'd be a very good teacher, though, but I appreciate the thought. Ploxert says, nice gifts. Yes. Yes, thank you guys also very much. Holy shit. Joe Morris for 50 subs. Let's fucking go. Holy shit, Joe. I'm serious. I'm joking. I can't make her feel better. This isn't going to help. It was a joke. It was a joke. Oh my God. Guys aren't stopping. I need to keep getting her sick. That's the ticket from now on. Am I going to make her take an Uber back like Jeremy? Like quartering Jeremy? Because I mean, like, wow, Phil's not even that big a fucking asshole to do. Steve Gosney, hey man. Hope you're doing well. Friend of the show, guys. Friend of the channel, Steve Gosney. Heard you moved on. Heard you're doing some new stuff now. Hope you're enjoying yourself, Steve. It's good to see you. Did Napoleon say all this before or after he invaded Russia? Well, Napoleon said a lot of things, and I mean, overall, on average, he's worth listening to. So. Let's see here. Let me see. Well, we got to get to Stardust Crusader. Member for 13 months. Is that like a play on, like, you're a space marine because you're doing a crusade for the Emperor? That's kind of a neat way to look at it. Remember, chat, the stars are humanity's birthright. Don't you ever forget it. The galaxy belongs to man. As it should. He's been a member for 13 months. His 2.0 needs soup and hot tea. 2.0 does not like tea, though. That's the problem. So that's a bit of an issue there. But, yeah. Also, Chad is looking like, look what I found. It's like, you need a couple of these down in Portland, and you just go, boop. And now it's armed, and you go, whoosh, out there. And you're like, take this, commies. And then if you really are cool, you stick the fragmentation sleeve on so it... Because technically, this is just a stun grenade. Technically. But thank you for being here for 13 months. Enzo for $5 saying, listen to the band Black Magic SS for good music. Death Fetish has their entire catalog. You could thank me later and know it's not a Nazi band. Okay, well, I mean, like, I was going to say, I'm like, ooh, these guys sound like Screwdriver. And, like, if you know, you know. Are these guys on Spotify? Let's see here. Spotify. Black Magic SS. I mean, let's see here. Not going to lie, some of the best death metal out there is, like, Finnish death metal. But anyways, Black Magic SS. I don't think it's... They're not on Spotify, which sucks, but we'll look for them. Oh, nope, I see them. Yep, they're here. They're here. Ooh. Some of this looks pretty gnarly. I'm going to have to look. Ooh, The Black Abyss. I like that. That's a pretty cool name for an album. Thank you. I'll take a look at them after we're done. Sula has been a member for 18 months. Thank you for being here. Says, check out Karlin Borisenko. She's an Antifa expert. She's an expert on a lot of things, including being insane. But yes, I have watched her stuff every once in a while. I used to watch her a lot, but she became kind of crazy in her own right. I mean, I guess we all, but she's got a lot of issues. She's got a lot of issues. So, Stephen Cooper for $5 says, promises were made, Sean. You said she would get better. Oh no, chat. Oh no. Barton Bella gifted 10 subs. Jesus Christ. Natasha gifted 10 subs. I'm going to be like Kenneth Branagh in Valkyrie. You just hold the grenade underneath your head and like pull the pin and you're just like, ah! When do you get caught? And then EDW Raptor gifting 1 sub. Jefferson Post says, we don't hate subscribers here like Hassan does. Well, you know, if you can't, you know, who knew some guy who lived in Turkey all his life and became a communist agitator would be insufferable? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And then, have I seen the deposition for Malcolm for $5? Says, have you seen the deposition released by Andy No of his attacker? No, but I followed a lot of Andy No stuff, and it's a shame. Those people fucking attacked him and fucking cracked his skull. I mean, it fucked him up really, really bad. And it's all okay because they're... Now, it said, though, like, some of those people, like the one dude, the Antifa dude, has got his face all burned off. At least you know your enemies when you see them. You can see them from a mile away. So... And Natasha for $2 says, N. Yes. Oh. But once again, Joe, thank you so much for your support and your generosity. Truly, if you guys got something from Joe, tell him thank you. Tell him thank you. So, yes, enjoy the gifted memberships. Interlinked. Yes. 1,000 subs or Clyde gets the shock collar, chat. That's right. 1,000 subs or he goes back to the APL. Joe says, I'll stay gray, though. Well, yes, I can't promise a large cash settlement, but I promise a large cash settlement. Yes. You can't do that. Yes, you can't do that. The goals have been maxed out. The cheeks are blown out. Yes. Oh. Let's see here. Blondie says, how's our favorite YouTuber / lawyer tonight? Not doing too bad tonight. Had a bit of a long day, but it was productive, and I feel like some good stuff's going to happen. But, yeah, this weekend may suck. We'll find out. I may not be doing anything this weekend. We'll find out here pretty quick. Jeff says, call it to 50 subs. The KC will be freaking out. I understand. I'm trying to go through orders of things there, but I got to it. Let's see here. Yeah, I have to worry about the students trying to tip them. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, all right, listen, class. We better show some like Darkside Phil. Be like, we need some support or you're not getting A's today. J6 says, sorry, Sean, I still disagree. Antifa is using very cheap tactics in very select locations. They were, but you can do material support for terrorist organizations. That's a very long statute of limitations. So you can go back to 2020 and start looking. Is it Freebird time? Almost. Yes, big support, big support. Let's go. I still think that's so funny. Somebody has the name. Big support, let's go. Thomas Fitzpatrick says, we'll save you 2.0. Oh, yes, she is a healed. I gotta be like that Benny Hinn guy who's like, fa-la-la-la-la-la. Have you guys, oh my God, if you guys have not seen that, that is some of the most hilarious shit ever. This is some serious fucking, this is some serious fucked up shit. This is great.
You may not understand this. I don't either. I don't either.
This guy is like Kenneth Copeland on fucking steroids as much as he rips off people.
But when the Lord talks to me, I obey him. It's just that simple. There's nothing more to it.
Are you ready, guys? Fire! Take it! Pick him up!
Take it!
He is a healed. They're all a healed. Praise the Lord.
Take it! Take it! Take it! Take the anointing!
And these people, when they do this, they've actually had, like, they've gotten caught. This guy got caught because there was some guy some kid was, like, in a wheelchair with, like, multiple sclerosis or spina bifida. And his family brought him. They're like, well, can he get up front? And they're like, nope, only people who, like, are ambulatory can come up front. Because obviously they know it's not going to work. Pretty fucked up shit, how these people work. Fucking false prophet. And this guy speaks in tongues.
Take the fresh breath of the Spirit.
So, yeah. It's my personal, like, this guy actually wants to teach it. It's like, no, you don't. Fuck that guy. Yes, we're going to munch houses by super chat. Oh, my God. Oh, Jeremy didn't pick up his wife from the hospital? Oh, shit, man. Even Phil's not that big a fucking scumbag. Phil, I can see Phil doing that nowadays. That said, though, Phil's hospital story is the best. Munch houses by membership. It's all the same thing. Oh, JoJo Part 3 is called Stardust Crusaders. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Did not know that. So, yes. Jean-Francois Garapi. He would love the potato masher grenade. Yes. Yes, steel hand grenade. Yes, steel hand granata. Yes. Yes, the potatoes are getting mushed. Yes. John Doe says I was going to look it up till he said it's not a Nazi band. Well, yeah, just look up Screwdriver. You'll be all set. Enzo says, I know Screwdriver. Yeah, well, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. Stephen Godney says the poor sister is raised by Nazis. Let's see here. When she said everyone the Nazis killed wanted to die is when I was out. Oh, let's see here. Am I serving weekends too? No. No. Oh my God, I'm catching up here. I gotta try to get. It sounds like Kindy. I don't know what this guy's doing there. It's in Atlanta, of course. Yes, he sells the real. Yes. He has a university named after him and a giant statue in Chicago. Wow. Yes. Jean-Claude Goddamn. Yes. Trump once says, I grew up in these churches. It was nuts. It sounds like Paula White, Trump's spiritual advisor. Yeah, she's crazy. She's crazy. Yes, it's like the old Karate Masters. Yes. I know Joe Rogan's shown those before, but those are... Yes. Those are... Yes, these are... Yeah, how they... Now, like, there's real Aikido. Like, real Aikido, but there's also... The fake Karate Masters. Like the no touch people. Those are the yeah. So this is always the best one here. This is a no touch master doing a. I've always liked this one. It's a no touch master versus an actual fighter. Like, he thinks, this guy in the white shirt thinks he can stop without using, like, actual contact. He believes, like, I can do a force field. Of course, these guys sound like they're somewhere in Eastern Europe. This is totally like something a bunch of Slavs would do. See, this guy believes in all this weird, like, gay touching and slapping, and this dude just, like, I punch him in the face.
Все, Сань, нормально, не надо.
So he gave up, and he's like, yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked. So he gave up. Augusto Pinochet says, I'll teach the Lord's word for $1,000. See, I would actually never put a price on that. You know, there's only one way, and that's through the sun. So. I need a white suit. That'd be a lot. You need a boat sail. I need a boat sail. Steve Gosney, yeah, Leap of Faith. I have seen parts of that movie, and it's fucking hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Chugi Show is saying, I learned on your locals what the Eagles did to Becky, and I've hated them ever since. Oh, well, it's propaganda. Don't believe the propaganda. Yes. Excuse me, sir, but you forgot your grenade. You read Benny Hinn as Benny Hill? Yeah. Do you know if your grandfather's inherited an RPG missile is actually decommissioned? Asking for a friend that doesn't have his sleeping right next to them. I mean, like, I know it's like, well, my RPG missile? Well, I know the launcher's decommissioned because there's a big hole cut in with the torch, but, like, are you talking about this thing? The PG-2 rocket that goes with it? I mean, yeah, this is... It's not real. It's like, it's a toy. It's a dummy. It's a trainer. Like, there's no anything with it. So yeah, no, this is not real. As much as I wish it was. Like, if I had a live PG-2 rocket, I would go buy a car and fucking shoot it with it. Just to watch it explode. Maybe I would just drive into, like, East Cleveland and, like, sit in the back of, like, a van with the hatch open and just have 2.0 driving around and be like, hold on! Just fucking lob fucking RPG rounds all over. Oh. So, am I going to talk about Glock? Yeah, we'll talk about that another night here coming up. But yes, guys, Glock is decommissioning and stopping the Gen 3 line. So, you know, switchies are going to have to get really creative again. But that's not a big deal. As Matt LaRosier of Fudbusters has talked about before, making a gun semi-auto is a lot harder than making a gun full auto. Normally, like, you could build a full auto gun in your garage. Building one semi-auto, like, where you actually have to, like, have a disconnector and proper things work, that's actually a lot harder. So, making guns semi-auto is going to be tougher overall. But yes, Glock is discontinuing the Gen 3 frame for the V series of frames and whatnot. But that's coming up. But yeah, like, I can't believe they fucking knuckled under. But oh well. Nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. Let's see here. Yes, George Dillman is the no-touch knockout champion. Yeah. Yeah, that guy's awful. Kathy says, that's ridiculous. Well, the guy slapping thought he was, you know, that was real stuff there. It's all because of Dragon Ball Z. It's been going on for ages, for decades, this shit has been happening. Enzo says, my favorite artists are Rage Against the Machine. I mean, if you honestly will sit there and say you don't listen, like, you know, Bulls on Parade or something like that. Like, if you're telling me that doesn't come on and you fucking banging your head to it, come on. You're a liar. You're a liar. You know, Sleep Down the Fire. Like, there's some good songs. They have good songs. I mean, to sit there, you're like, this doesn't slap. Like, you're just not being genuine. Screwdriver, yeah. Misanthropic Division, okay. Lady Gaga, not so much. And Billie Eilish, no. No. 999. Let's see here. Sloths need something to do aside from drinking, yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys are, Rage Against the Machine, they're communists, so nothing they do slaps. Okay, their music's good. If you won't admit that, I don't know what to tell you. That doesn't mean they're not homos or faggots. So, you continue putting on Rancid? Yeah, yeah. NoFX, Anthrax, I like all that stuff. It's good. It's good. It's good. There's nothing wrong. Now, Natasha, we got to double back to this. For $2 said N. Future Mrs. Martin 2.0. I love you so much. I love you, honey. I love you, mon chéri, with all my heart. Says I. Stephen Cooper says G. Ag says G. J-Rock says E. Then EDW Raptor says, false flag attack by the Mossad. I mean 9/11. Oh, no. Oh, yes. I like Peter, Paul, and Mary. Killing in the Name is a bass song. It is. Yeah, it is. It is. Sean likes Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean, really? Like, why? Like, what is it? Why do you guys hate so much things? Like, you say some of this stuff like it's offensive to me, or I'm offended, or it's so you shouldn't totally like them. Like, they're not awful. Like, these aren't awful fucking bands. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. You guys are just... I mean... Hold on here. I really don't know. I don't know why you guys are like this. I really don't understand it. Puff the Magic Dragon. Well, you mean like the actual plane? Like Puff the Magic Dragon, the song, or like the, the AC-119 that they called Puff the Magic Dragon? That was when they took like a C-47 plane and they put miniguns in the sides of it. If you guys ever watched the Green Berets, that's Puff the Magic Dragon. It went like, bzzz, and fucking wiped out everything. So, I hate a lot of, I do, but like, not a lot of music. Not a lot of music. I don't like Pantera. They're totally mediocre. Really? Really, you don't like Pantera? I think they're great. What Clyde did in the Yard is better than Anthrax. God, some of you guys are rough. Peter, Paul, and Mary are better than Weezer. Okay, no, Weezer is really good. But, like, Peter, Paul, and Mary did a couple of really good songs, but, like, not, like, everything was amazing. So, like, Leaving on a Jet Plane was a great one. I've heard them do, like, the Garden song. Remember, my mom used to play that a couple times when we were little kids. I really liked that song. I think I've also heard them do the Outfield song, the Right Field song, or whatever it's called, where you're like, the out in the distance, the game's dragging on. There's strikes on the batter, some runners are on. Like that song, I forget what it's called, but yeah, like I've heard them sing that before. Like, it's really good. Really good. It's like perpetually in right field. Like Phil's on level 1 and perpetually in right field. So they sing Puff the Magic Dragon. I never really cared about that song too much. You're not even close to baseline, Sean. Interlinked. So I like Barney songs. Well, not really. So I miss System of a Down. I do too. Yes. Yes, they were always great. Yes, Stephen Cooper says, fun fact, the original AC-47 / Puff the Magic Dragon was done by an Air Force officer and put on his own credit card. The DoD did not authorize the original setup. That's normally how weapons platforms start going. Troops start modifying things on their own, and they start adding equipment and manufacturing things. Kind of like the hedgerow removers they put on Sherman tanks. That was an unofficial field modification, although that's impressive that the guy bought a bunch of fucking miniguns. That's cool, though. That's a cool, though. Yeah, Out in Right Field, there we go. Okay, that's a song. Jack Bauer says, if you play your favorite song, off there, in there. Right. You won't have any copyright issues because the author passed away 70 years ago. Yes, well. Yeah, we don't have any issues for Erica. Let's see here. Tech Guy says that's how the direct action penetrator was created. Oh, cool. Cool. Some guy with cancer, yes. The no-touch knockout champion is Bill Cosby. Good drew. Knocking you out with that Kodak. All right. Carrie says, hi, Carrie. My 16-year-old just went and saw Cannibal Corpse last week. Crowd surfed for the first time, too. They're not bad as well. They're not bad as well. I've only heard, like, a couple of songs that are, like, I've liked and I don't, like, I never really got into their stuff. But it gets your head going. You're a replicant, Sean. These aren't really your music preferences. Interlinked. Yes, in World War II, they mounted 60mm mortars the sides of Shermans, like smoke grenade launchers. Yep. I have never crowd surfed. That is correct. What chip is the Galaxy S27 going to have in it? I don't know because I don't buy the I don't buy the Galaxy models. You know what you buy? You buy the A series. Like this is the A54. This is like you get all kinds of shit that the S27 has for like $300. So you don't need to spend all that fucking money. Let me tell you what, chat. So, Greg says, as a former Portlandian, it's the Havana on the Willamette. Never heard of that. I've never heard of that. The hedgerow thing only happened because the guy he heard a hillbilly tank about putting a saw on the front of tanks. That's actually kind of cool. I never thought about that. Am I scared of a mosh pit? I've seen them before, and I'm just like, I don't understand the point. Because I've seen people, like, I've had friends, like, they came back at school, like, they went to a mosh pit during the weekend. And I'm like, and they got, like, they were fucked up. And I'm like, what did you go do? He's like, oh, I was in a mosh pit. I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun to me. And then you see, like, where they do, like, the walls of death, and it's, like, just the sides, just, like, like, yeah, that shit is insane. That shit is crazy. Hold on here. Yeah. Like a wall of death. Mosh pit, like, holy shit, that stuff's insane. Yeah, here you go. It's a wall of death at a Lamb of God concert. That would be... Lamb of God's a good band. Here you go. Check this shit out, guys. Like, there's no way in fuck. I don't see how this is fun. you guys have never listened to Lamb of God's fucking awesome, but this is not my, like, I wouldn't mind just being the concert, like, yeah, this is, well, actually, I'm not a big concert guy, but, like, I could do the concert, not this part. And these guys aren't even that far apart. I've seen ones where it's like, it looks like Braveheart, and they're just fucking smashing into each other. Like, I'll pass. I'll pass on that. I've been hurt and been hurt in the pit. Yeah, I've, like, you know, like, I don't know. That's just not me. Not me. The Wall of Death at Lamb of God is still safer than going to a Travis Scott concert. Maybe. Maybe. Oh. Yeah, it's not a good pit, too much room. Well. Amon Armas Viking Row is something to see. That's a good band too. If you guys like that, they do some good music. I think, yeah. I have my nose broken in 3 body count pits. Yeah, see, I don't want all that. I don't want all that. Yeah, and I get that it's not like intentional. It's socially taboo, but, like, you hear about people getting fucked up, and also, I just don't like being around people like that. Like, I can kind of like, yeah, music's great. I don't need to be around, like, a million fucking people spurging out. So, yeah, Meshuggah. There we go. That's speaking of Steve Gosney. There you go. Fintroll, please. Don't know Fintroll. Yeah, Gojira's, yeah, I like Gojira as well, but I don't like going there. I think you can handle it, Sean. We believe in you. I really don't want to find out. I don't want to find out. So, I have to listen to Fintroll. I haven't heard of him, really. You saw Powerwolf. Okay, that would be Powerwolf and Dragon. Well, that would be a fun show a couple of weeks ago. That does sound like fun. Oh. Powerwolf is great. I'm like, it's like the Juggernaut in the pit. Yeah. So, I don't know. I actually would love to see Rammstein. Yeah. Although apparently, like, people were doing, like, Ausleiter and they go, Raus! Which means, like, outsiders leave. And apparently, like, they're like, we don't like that. That's not very appropriate. We like our Turkish and Syrian rapists. So. My favorite rap group's 3-6 Mafia. Well, I mean, like, them and Project Pat. That was some good shit back in the day. I knew kids that listened to that. And I was like, man, it's a little bit much, but not bad. Oh. My intro to Guar was the penis on trial movie thing they did. That is fucking hilarious. That is very funny. So. Alright, guys. I think we're going to wrap this up here. But yes, there's been a big victory for the rule of law. The rule of law has been upheld. And I wonder, actually, is there any... I hope there's fucking National Guard out there just, like, batoning people right now. Let's see here. Actually, hold on. Going back to this, hold on. What did this say? World's biggest wall of death? Hold on here. Did I miss that? That sounds impressive. Okay, yeah, this is what I was thinking of, like, especially like a wall of death. Here you go. Look at that. Oh. Yeah, I don't see how that's fun. I don't see how that looks fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that looks fun at all to anybody. The most violent pits were always Limp Bizkit. I could see that. So, I could see that. So it's like two Bronze Age armies going at it. It does. It does. It does look like that. People don't always think it'd be like it is, but it do. Now, let's see. Do we have any lives of the rioting? Oh, wow. Pirate Software's back. He's like the 300 people. He lost all his viewers after being a scam artist. Let's see. I don't see... Let's see here. I don't see... there's a little bit of information here. Let's see what it looks like right now.
A little bit of fun.
Goes up to like 5 something. We
Here we go. Let's take a look.
All we want is a 1-bedroom with a little yard and.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up, bro. I don't want to hear that. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's the National Guard is out. Too bad. I wish they were. But it'd be funnier if that happened. Kung Fu Fish says, "Show up at work with a black eye." He said, I ask if saying it's domestic makes it less embarrassing than getting hit in the face by a purse in a mosh pit. Oof. That would be less embarrassing. Pirate Software was at TwitchCon, according to a few people who went. People were talking enormous shit about him. Good. Good. Did he have his second puberty voice, or did he have his second puberty voice? Underrated song is Cult of Personality. Yes, it's a good song. No, he wasn't the ferret fucker. He has ferret Auschwitz, though. Him and his Troon boyfriend. They have ferret Auschwitz. So all the ferrets die there. So yeah, sadly there's no sending the National Guard in to push him out, but maybe that'll happen soon. Maybe that'll happen soon. Who knows, chat? Who knows? Nick Treadmill says, fat retard. Well, yes, I am fat and retarded. So, very correct. Very correct. Oh. So, all right, chat, we're going to land the plane here. We got to land. We got to be done. We got to be done, chat. Just send the National Guard to save him, Hiru. Yes. Yes, he's fat. He's retarded. Yes. Yes. And somehow his mom's still proud of him. So going to be a local stream? Not tonight, Enzo. Not tonight. I'm a little exhausted. It's been a long 2 days so far, and it's only going to be longer going forward. I've had some weeks where this shit has just been dragging on. Oh my God. Hopefully, like I said, next week, I feel like I'm in this stretch right now where I keep thinking, oh, next week should be better. And I pull up my schedule and I'm like, fuck. I'm just like, maybe this weekend after all. Oh, I don't know. Ploxor says, okay, bye. Oh, yes, the center divider. Maybe I need to make that like my ending shot where the guy gets run over. It's like, oh my God! Oh, that's been my last 4 months. I know. Maybe it'll be better tomorrow. Nope. Yes. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Retard. All right, guys, we are done. We're done here. Thank you guys all for tonight. I appreciate the support. I thank you guys for sticking around. And, yeah, had some fun. And, yeah, but it did get worse. Yeah. It might get worse. I don't know. It's going to be a grind this week. Yes. Flare, chat, flare, jammer, out. So good night, chat. Remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. And remember, long live the Emperor of Mankind. Long live the Emperor of Mankind, Donald John Trump. Good night, chat, and take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why is...
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.